Have I told you? Have I confessed it before? I'm obsessed with TikTok. I love it. And I love being surprised every time.
Yeah.
Like one video is the over 40s and they're talking about, well, I will never let a man ever live in my home. I will never be controlled. And then the next one, it's a girl going, oh my gosh, guys, I found the most amazing under eye makeup. And then the next one's going, when you reach self-actualization. I love it. And so today we're talking about taking videos on your phone, speaking into a microphone from your bedroom, all of this that is social media, that is media marketing and a professional source of income, is not just a side hustle. Today, you can really live your life on six-figure brand deals, building powerful communities, and even winning awards. So just like film, television, music, the world of social media has matured to a point where excellence in content creation is formally recognized. And in studio with us today, we have Yvette Brains. Hello,
Yes,
Yvette.
ma'am. Thank you so much for having me.
Yvette is a media personality, voiceover artist, and marketing professional.
Yeah.
And then on the line with us, we have Buluko Magolane, who is a public speaker, author, and communication coach. Buluko, thank you very much for joining us.
Good day. Thank you very much for having me.
Wow, you guys. So, really, six figures.
Yes.
You can do it.
You can.
Okay, take us
Don't
back.
get us robbed, no?
No, I'm not going to try. I don't know. Will they know who to rob?
Yeah, content creators are making a lot of money. So
Okay.
yeah, I can rob any content creator.
We're starting in a very strange place. Perhaps I'd like to know from you, Yvette Brains. I mean, you're a dynamic media personality.
Yes.
And you're known as the queen of talk.
Of course.
And you command attention across radio, digital platforms, even live events.
Of course.
And you are the official representative for the South African Social Media Awards. So that's
correct.
a lot on your plate.
I know.
But it looks like you're having a good time.
I am having a good time.
Take us through the timeline,
Yeah.
a very short span, particularly with TikTok,
Yeah.
but across anyone you want to mention in terms of social media,
Yeah.
from being a space where we could just moan, we could just send a weird picture, we could
Yeah.
just archive our night out, to where this is a full-time job for some.
Yeah. I think social media has become our Dear Diary space.
Sure.
Everything is shared on TikTok. Not only TikTok, but Instagram, YouTube. Our lives are on socials.
Yeah.
And I have realized that you can have a good time and still make money out of it. You know, I remember during COVID-19, we lost a lot of lives.
Yes.
But a lot of lives were also saved through scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
I agree.
And then that's when the social media awards came in. But before it could even get there, I could say it's really an active space where everyone just shares their stories, shares their journey, actually vents. Some people actually get advisors there. It's really an active space.
Yeah. As a speaker and a coach, Bologo, you use social media as a tool. So this is a very interesting space that you're not necessarily on social media and then you kind of find your feet and your fame there. You can add social media to whatever your already existing business is.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, before I got on social media, I had been speaking for 6 years. So with the only reason I got on social media in the first place was because COVID happened, and then a lot of things shut down. I couldn't go to schools that I used to go to on a weekly basis, and there were no physical gatherings, and that's why I went onto social media. So you absolutely can pivot into social media and have that be a really powerful marketing engine, an engine to reach people. So you're absolutely right in that. And I think the trajectory of my career is testament to the fact that it doesn't have to be where you start.
So tell us about your entry into it all.
So for me, I remember, so for people who know me, they'll remember the videos of me walking in the streets and just kind of documenting my thoughts at that time, because during that COVID time, I fell into a very bad space. I think that was the closest I've ever come to being depressed. And I started taking these walks just to clear my head. And as I was taking these walks, I would just start thinking a lot more clearly. And the one day I decided, let me just start recording some of this. And I would record 30-second clips, 1-minute clips, just post them on TikTok. And for about a year, people were not really engaging. I was getting the 50 views and the 12 views. And then there came a day when one video just stuck and resonated with hundreds of thousands of people. And overnight, my name was spoken across the country in the specific niche that I'm in. And since then, the trajectory of my career has just been on the up and up. So it started that way. It started, first of all, I was in schools on a weekly basis, encouraging and motivating students.
Look at
Found
that.
myself on social media, and from there, found myself in parliament, found myself in corporate, found myself with a book that's currently being read in 30 countries. It's just been a beautiful experience.
I mean, I think that that's quite extraordinary, and I like the idea of intentionality, but at the same time, you know, the idea of being so open that anything can happen, right?
Course,
So you don't necessarily have to add it to your already running business. You know, I've seen so many people who just started with one story time, and then they were like, I have a lot of things to say. And it continues and it continues and it continues. So as a selector of nominees and winners, what does it look like behind the scenes? What's the process? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so we're just looking for talent, and I think anything could sell. We have a person that's doing diary sessions. I think it's Huitiman currently.
Okay.
Who's just telling people stories on how to revenge someone. And
How to what?
How to revenge people when they've done you wrong.
Let me look this person
It's
up.
really obsessive. Huitiman. So anything could sell. It's just a matter of having a niche, and the moment you get the content that could get people talking and engaging, that's what we're looking for. And what's good about the South African Social Media Awards is we're not only looking at people with the talent, but people that can spread the word. You know,
I follow
like,
Huitiman.
I told you, this guy is very addictive. His content
He's
is
addictive.
I know, like you can watch episode after episode after episode. Yeah, but the South African Social Media Awards, we work with nano influencers, someone that's just upcoming. We also have a category for best emerging social media of the year. So we could have people coming in and it's their first time booming on social media. We are looking for newcomers as well. Also work with micro influencers, people who are already in the space. We call them celebrities, but then now celebrities are influencers.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. We speak like everybody knows what we're talking about, no? So what's a mini influencer, a micro influencer?
A nano influencer.
Nano influencer.
Nano
even.
influencer. I'm a nano influencer.
Okay.
Nano influencer is someone that has like about 1,000 to maybe 10,000 followers on Instagram, and then we have micro influencers that are from like 10,000 to maybe 50,000, and then it goes on and on. But someone that's well established, we call them like mega influencers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Would you
right.
call yourself a mega influencer?
I don't think I'm an influencer.
What's your following on Instagram?
I don't know, 600 and something thousand.
Oh, you could be considered as a mega influencer.
Yeah. But I also am quite careful with what I do with my social media because it lives forever.
Of course.
And then secondly, I really like I like to be involved with people who are actively doing things rather than just trying to sell things. So if you're a part of a campaign, like I just did a menstrual health campaign, I love that.
Okay.
I'm not saying do not send me GLC, and I won't mega influence that. I
Yeah,
will.
okay.
But, I think if something's going to be over time,
Yeah.
it really is over time. I also, I don't even want to be filmed right now. I'm just not in that space at the
Is
moment.
it?
Not at all. I don't want any of that. So please stop, brother. Stop it. Because of my own personal reasons.
Okay.
But yeah, I suppose that answers your question.
Okay. No, it totally
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, Buloko, as somebody who's helped to shift how society sees content creation as a real career, talk to me about how you've had these conversations, how you yourself have had to maybe make different wirings in your mind about what social media is about.
So, if you had to ask me 6 years ago, 5 years ago, pre-COVID rather,
Yeah.
I would have told you that social media is a waste of time. I would have told you that it's for people who don't have a job and are not serious about their life. That's what I would have told you, because that's how I used to see it.
Don't hold back, hey?
That was me years ago, and it's because at that time we'd look at platforms like TikTok and we'd think it's just for kids to dance on it's basically meaningless stuff.
Yeah.
And then at some point there had to be that shift for me, because I realized that in the society that we're in right now, people exist online. So if you look at what's happening all throughout social media, I'll give you a great example of this. Is this guy called Dan Carter? I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly.
Carter, yes, absolutely. Dan has a show on ETV. He speaks politics and current affairs. We've had him here before as well on a Friday to speak politics and current affairs. Yes.
Yes, but I'm mentioning him because this morning I was watching him on Piers Morgan, and he did a stellar job.
He did.
But I do remember seeing his videos on TikTok before the TV show,
Yes,
and before all of these podcast appearances, before the Piers Morgan. That's the power of social media, and that is the power of understanding that that's where people are. You've got to understand where it is that we reach people. And at this point, you can only imagine how many people I would reach if I was trying to speak to people from door to door.
Yeah.
But the fact that from where I am, I can simply just communicate with 100,000 people within an hour, within 10 minutes, that's really powerful. And I think the biggest part of it is to understand the business and to understand marketing and advertising, and know that's all that this is. It's just that it's a different medium. So the marketing has always been a respected profession. Sales has always been a respected profession. The TV has always been respected, and all of that is just shifting, or has shifted already now to digital, where it makes no difference. It makes no difference. I'm on Power FM right now. At some point, there was a time when I thought it was so far-fetched. But the conversation that we are having here is amplified outside of radio. That's why you are also on social media. That is why it's important for you to get those. I watch a lot of your interviews that you do in studio. I watch them on social media, because that's the power of it. It has that staying power, rather than live broadcast, which was great, but if you missed the moment, you had missed it. But now it can live on.
I mean, everything's online now. We're talking, instead of exactly as you say, traditional media, you're looking for something that would be maybe a podcast, and you can listen to that on demand wherever it is that you are. So definitely everything is more of a social media mode. There are many examples. You see, now I'm a TikTok head, okay? There are many examples of people who are influencers, particularly as family influencers, for example, right? And they say, oh, we're going to such and such a place with our kids, and these are our kids, and da-da-da-da-da, and their kids' faces are in the thing, and everyone's getting paid to be that. And then at some point, they decide that they don't want to do that anymore. Is it a touch is a move? Once you're in, you're in. blood in, blood out?
I don't think so. I believe, well, not to be shady, but
Sure.
I believe if there's a Malo today who's very influential, and she decides maybe not to do music anymore, there's gonna be another Z who's doing it better than
For
her.
sure.
I don't really think there's anything that's really attaching you from actually saying, you know what, I don't want the social media space. I think you're already in the social media space. Sometimes it just gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
You don't want to be filmed. You don't want to take pictures. I think over
But
time,
I mean, for that particular creator and
Yeah.
influencer, they can have some downtime. Or is
Yeah.
it about you've got to keep your numbers at a certain place no matter what?
that one is tricky.
It's
ne?
tricky.
But I think there's this content that's just for lifetime.
Okay.
It's a lifetime content. It never depreciates. It never goes down. As much as you could try maybe to let people not unfollow you, it just never happens, you know. So sometimes I just don't think it's your choice. It's a people's choice
Yeah.
to say we don't like you anymore, unless maybe you want to deactivate your accounts.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we like you, we like you. You can't say we shouldn't like you anymore.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm dealing with now.
Is
Like,
it?
I don't know if I want to be in that position.
Really?
Where like you can just make your decision. It doesn't matter what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
You want to talk about the mole on my nose.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. If we like you, we
So,
like you. Hey.
You want to talk about the mole on my nose? It is pointless. I should just put a picture up.
Yeah.
Then you can talk about the mole the whole
Exactly.
day.
Yeah.
Mole, mole, mole. You use your voice, Puluko, through social media for transformation. And I wonder, when you look at those comments or when you get those DMs, is it really hitting the button? Or are people just looking at the mole on your nose?
You know what? The first thing that I do when I first got into social media was to first rewire my mind to not be stimulated by positive comments, because I think that's where it starts first, right? Because if the positive comments give you a high, then the negative ones will push you down.
Yeah.
So I'm at a point now where I do appreciate the positive feedback. I do appreciate people saying your video did this or your book does that, the DMs, the comments. But I don't allow them to influence me internally, because when I go out and I create content, when I put messages out there, I mean, sometimes people will you'll say something they don't like, and because they just don't like it, not because they have an opinion that they can express, they'll just say, look at the hairline. Hey, but what?
Yeah.
What does this have to do with anything? But you have to understand that you can't give people that much power over you, because as human beings, we are wired to find fault, right? And I've been doing a lot of work to reprogram my mind to ignore the negative, because anybody knows this is on social media. You can have 100 comments that say something good, and when you see those 2 comments that talk about the mole, it ruins your whole day. And
It does.
you ignore the 100 comments that were speaking to the value of what you're providing or the impact that it has. So it's really just a matter of training your mind to take that. And I think social media, the content creators, the ones that you've been talking about, nano, macro, I don't know what it is. But everybody there has to be some internal work that happens. You've got to commit yourself and devote yourself to personal development, because it doesn't matter whether you dance or whether you make jokes or you sing online, you will deal with people, and there will be a point where your character is challenged. And you've got to be developed enough. You've got to be emotionally stable enough and mentally stable enough to take it. Because you are putting yourself out there, no matter how you feel about it. You chose to put yourself out there. You can choose to do anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to a large degree that's true. I just wonder if you're doing things that you want to touch people's lives and transform people's lives, and that's not getting across. It's very interesting to me then, like, which way do you turn? What do you do? How do you use this media?
Yeah.
But if you want to have it be entertainment purely, I mean, that makes I mean, the more clicks, the more unlikes, the more things, it's fantastic for you. One of the most powerful or emotional moments you've witnessed during the awards process, what was that? Because it's not just about awards, it's about changing people's lives.
Of course.
Yeah.
So the South African Social Media Awards, it's not about just getting a trophy.
Yes.
We actually focus more on real impact, meaningful growth, and building powerful connections in the digital landscape. And we actually a nonprofit company, so meaning that we actually care about these content creators. And it means that we also encourage, they call it contentpreneurship these days. I always say that content creators are not only people that just put up content every now and then. They're more than content creators. They are marketers. They salespeople. And you know where there's salespeople, there's big monies. So we encourage growth in their careers. We encourage them to collaborate with sponsors that could just reach out. Because for you getting an award at the South African Social Media Awards,
it puts you on a different list.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing your name at the top, a top brand can just, approach you and say, listen, we want to work on this deal. And we had amazing sponsors that were sponsoring the South African Social Media Awards. We've worked with Canon, we've worked with McDonald's, we've worked with Connie Brands, Mahindra last year, which sponsored us, sponsored the whole 22 categories, and made sure that every winner walks away with a car, which was utilized for 7 days. We've worked with Oppo, and the current sponsors are, shout out to Kiva Accountants and Auditors, Celebrity Drive, Urban Sense, Blue Cloud AI, and Mbono Media House. So we are actually looking forward to forward-thinking sponsors who believe in the power of social media to inspire, change, build brands, and create job opportunities.
Yeah. Please invite me. That is so exciting.
Of course.
From Becky to who's the them with the long nails who always talks about their transition. I'll remember their name just now. But like honestly, you fall in love with the character. You fall in love with what's been said. And it's a very interesting space and time. So the question as written is, if a young person listening wants to break into the world, I'm not asking you that. I'm saying if anybody wants to break into this world, because they are phenomenal content creators who tell you unbelievable things.
Of course.
And, we need the whole range. So where would you begin?
So I think Buluka also said something earlier, which was really interesting, that content creation starts very small. You start with 2 likes and it's not really so motivating. Yeah. But the more you do it, the more we actually see, that you're putting in some work. And one day, the South African Social Media Awards, we also thought, you know what, let's have also a category for the newcomers, And I think
you must always.
I think scheduling your posts, because sometimes we juggle work and content creation. Content creation at first is very straining. I think TikTok is actually one of the biggest platforms that has a lot of competition when it comes to following. And thank God, actually now TikTok pays. We have a program that pays them. But before you were getting paid through, a company who would approach you. Yeah, but it wasn't much because you're also looking at sustainability. Yeah. But overall, I think putting your content across social media from time to time, scheduling your posts, make sure that you post every Friday. We watching those Dear Diaries moments. We get hooked.
This is my week.
Yeah. And also sometimes I understand that maybe the negative comments can actually push you away, but sometimes it's also looking at it in a positive manner, that there's something that you really need to work on. So for instance, if I upload maybe a vlog and they say, no, I can't hear the audio, then you need to start investing in a mic, because sometimes the negative content, the comments actually encourage you to improve your content. So sometimes do have that extra ear to say, I'm going to listen to the people that are watching my content for me to grow the content better and better.
I love that so much. Just be teachable no matter what.
Of course.
Bologo, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And thank you very much, Yvette Brains, as well.
Okay.
From timelines to trophies, content creation, it's no longer just fun on the internet. It is a real source of income.
Yeah.
So check that out as well. Thank you so much.